we've asked a few times about Mason Mount and Matthijs de Ligt. What is the situation with them? Because Matthijs has not played since last time United played Palace, and Mason scored against Palace, so it's kind of shared history.
Yeah, Mason's getting closer, really. He's on the grass. He's getting closer, so he's looking to kind of train and being around it pretty soon. So he's getting close. Just had to be patient, really, a little bit. And listen, he's a big player for us, Mace. So looking after him, making sure he's ready, and big finish to the season. So good news that he's getting really close. Matthijs a little bit. He's had a back issue, which is just been a little bit slower to progress, really. It's something that we've been kind of working through, and he's getting there. He's in the right direction, but as I said, he's just a little bit further behind. So it's one of those things that's disappointing, but it's unfortunately part of football. So we'll get him back when we can.
Is there even a remote timescale for him? Because obviously, when he was injured the first time, Ruben said, "Oh, he'll be back like next week," and clearly we're months down the line now. We've got an international break coming up. What?
No, it's just the nature of the injury and the kind of issue in the back that it's a difficult one to kind of pin down in some ways, and especially time wise. So he's definitely improving, so that's a good thing, and we're just working towards that. Really, there's not much at this stage that I can give you anymore. Really.
Afternoon, Michael. One player you'll be familiar with is Harry Maguire from your previous stint at the club. Just wonder, when you've returned, what kind of player you now see ahead of you, and of course his contract situation. Do the club plan to maybe sit down with him in the near future, just about what his future could look like?
Harry's he's an impressive character. You know, he's obviously he's had a great career so far. There's hopefully there's a lot more to come. I think even what he's been here and the journey and the experiences that he's had, certainly since he's been here and with England as well, I think showed exactly what he is. I think we all know the player that he is and what he's capable of doing. And again, the other night there, I thought he was fantastic. And experience helps in that. His attributes help in that, and his character, you know, and his willingness to put himself out there, and he's really impressive at age, and he's been really important for us.
Saw in a recent interview with your goalkeeper Lammens, he was talking about one of the reasons why he feels there's been an upturn in form is the clarity of the messaging that's coming through to the players. Can you give us an insight into how you go about making sure that you convey to each player what it is you want from them?
Yeah, I mean, you could talk for quite some time on that, you know, in terms of how we want to play, kind of what we want to do for each other, and behaviours, and there's all sorts of things that kind of come into it, really. But yeah, I think I've said it at times over the last few weeks. When you're putting a team together and you're putting a team on the pitch, I think it's not always. You try to make it as clear as you can. I think clarity is important. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's simple. Sometimes there's quite a lot of detail that kind of needs to be put across, but I always try and feel that we do it in a simplistic form, really, so the players maybe think it's simple, but there's quite a lot of work behind that. So that's always the balance, I think, for any coach and manager, that you're trying to give the players going out there that their minds are as clear as possible, really, and they know the jobs effectively. So it's a constant balance, but the boys have been great, and anything we have tried to kind of help them with, implement them, give them bits of tips. I think they've all been taking it on board ever so well.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Michael, I just wanted to ask about Manuel Ugarte's yet to sort of start a game under yourself, had limited playing time. What do you see his role at the moment? What does he need to do to get back into the side?
Yeah, listen, Manu, I like Manu a lot. He's been terrific around the group, and hugely impressed with his attitude and how he goes about it, and his training qualities, and he's got a lot of really good attributes, Manu. I think that it's when the team's winning, there's obviously a big upside to that, and there's always for the one or two boys that maybe haven't played so much. Obviously, it makes it a little bit tougher to get in the team, but I think that creates that competition as well in a real healthy way, that everyone's pushing each other, Manu's obviously, desperate to get on the pitch more, and he's doing everything he can in training, and he's a big part of the group. So I think it's just a case of the results and the boys playing so well that there's going to be times when we might need to change things and freshen things up, and then certainly he's a big part of that.
Paul? Michael, just another question on Harry. How much input will you have into that decision on whether he stays or goes? And in terms of his experience, I think you're going to lose Casemiro in the summer. That's a big lump of experience gone out of the squad. How important is it to kind of keep that level of experience, that player that Harry's got, that kind of in the future?
Yeah, I think within the squad, I think there's always that balance. You certainly want that younger potential and that excitement of developing players and helping players. You need that little sweet spot in the middle, I think, where players at the peak. I think you certainly need that within the group, and experience is massive. It's hard to put a price on how kind of valuable that can be, and whether that's individuals, that's experience as a whole group. But Harry's, as I've just said, he's gained an awful lot of experience in different ways through this club. So, Casa leaving is another one experience, and it's something we got to obviously understand and what that means.
Sorry. Hi, Michael. The Champions League draw took place this morning. I'm sure you've probably got other things to do than pay too much attention to it at the moment, but does it feel strange being at this club all the time you've been here as a player? The Champions League's going on without United. It's happened fairly regularly over the last few years, certainly into the knockout stages. Does it feel different or wrong that this club isn't competing at that end of Europe consistently enough these days?
Certainly where we want to be. Don't think we can assume and just take things for granted just because the past is the past. That takes care of what should happen here and now or next season. I think it's you've got to kind of earn that. You've got to show you're good enough, and I think that's why when you have time of success or you achieve success, it's warranted, and to show how tough it actually is to get it. So, to be honest, at the moment, it's a really laser focused on kind of what's ahead for us. There's no point in us looking elsewhere. We know where we want to be. We know kind of what we got to do to get there, and the performance level and the games that are coming up where we want to try and get the right results. But I think looking what else is going on in and around Europe at this point is not really going to help us. But it's certainly where we want to be.
Chris and then Andy.
Hi Michael, just on Harry again. He started every game since you came in, of course, as you say, was great at Everton on Monday. You obviously here as a first team coach when he first signed for the club. You've seen him right the way through. Is he as good now as he ever has been, in some ways better in terms of the experience that he's got now?
There's a case, I think. It's I think as your career goes, and just touching on it there, I think when you're a young player, everything's fresh and everything's new, and you're kind of fearless, and there's not many scars there, so you kind of is full of excitement. You get to your kind of peak years, which kind of where you're at, and you feel good, and everything's there. But there's obviously you've had a few ups and downs along the way, and then I think you start getting towards the later times, and experience that you've gained then makes you a better player, or should make you a better player from learning from that. And I think we've seen that with Harry's performances of late, really, of what he's brought to the team, and he's been so important as well as many others. But so I think that's why experience is important to use it. I certainly felt it when I was playing that. It was 30, 31, 32. That probably was my best years, really, of just being at that sweet spot of being able to do it physically still, but using the kind of experiences to know what's coming, and probably seeing a bit of everything by that stage, so it's not a surprise.
Andy?
Hi Michael. What's your thought process in choosing the same or very similar team week after week? Is it because you're winning? Is it because there's not as many games as you would hope for with the team being in Europe? Does that present difficulties with the players who are not getting in? How are you managing this?
Yeah, it's definitely something we're aware of. I think it's when we've just had quite a big break and before the last game, and when there's a lot more games, I think, in terms of squad and being rotations or having to change things for physical reasons or game to game, I think that comes into play. It's the challenge of managing the group. There's huge positives to it, and the results we've had in playing well, winning games mostly. I think that's the huge positive. But there's certainly a big awareness from me and the staff of how important everybody is in the group, and it's something that we do have to manage. So there's a balance to it, but there's definitely a big positive to the fact that we're in a good run of form. And even though sometimes it's the same players on the pitch, I think game to game we've changed things, we've tweaked things. Some of the front players have played in different positions. Luke, for instance, has played in different roles when we've been in possession, so it doesn't necessarily mean it's copy and paste and we go again, but there's certainly a feeling of trying to keep the momentum as best as we can as well.
Hi Michael, can I just ask about Ben? There's been quite a few calls for him to start after his goal scoring record off the bench. But is there an argument for why break up a winning formula when can you leave a player of his ability on the bench and in like a Solskjaer role kind of thing, like a super sub? And what does it say about the character that he is that he can come on and make as much an impact as he has?
I just think the whole thing is a real positive, to be honest. I think it's certainly not a decision that is a one that I look to in a negative way or anything like that. As I said, we're playing well as a team. We've been winning games, and I'm still not getting carried away and thinking that just carries on. But certainly within the group and the forward players have scored a good number of goals so far. And Ben's been so good, in so many ways for us. And it's really not a drama, believe it or not. For kind of how people see it, it's not a drama, and I think it just shows the qualities Ben's got for what he's produced over the last few weeks. And if and when he starts the next game or the one after, I think it is what it is, But he's doing so many good things as well as the team that it's a good position for us to be in.
Catherine.
Hi, Michael. Your front three in the false nine system hasn't paid off against Everton and West Ham in recent weeks. Is that going to prompt a change this week for Sesko to come in? And why is that? Why hasn't it been as successful against teams like West Ham and Everton?
I don't think we've played a false nine, to be honest. I think Brian's played up high on the last line for a lot of the time. So it's just, as I've just said there, I think we've played similar players, but we've played in different ways. 4 points from 2 games is not bad away from home, so it's not so bad, and having been able to change it from the bench and make things a little bit different towards the end of games is a real strength. So I'm pretty happy the way things are going.